Hi, I'm Dr. Tracy Tyson. I'm a board certified general pediatrician and a nutritionist, and let's talk about the pediatric obesity epidemic. I think we all agree that this is a huge problem in the United States. Around 30 to 40% of children ages 5 to 14 are considered overweight. This can lead to a lot of social issues when they are younger, and as well as a lot of health problems, and we're seeing type 2 diabetes in even young children now. So what are some things as a pediatrician and nutritionist, and what does the evidence show of things that we can do to combat this? First of all, I think this has happened for three reasons. I think we have a perceived culture that it is not safe to allow our children to play independently, play outside. I think some of this is the way that the culture has changed, that children aren't just riding their bikes back and forth to places. We perceive things as unsafe. Therefore, our kids are kept more inside. They're kept more where they have to go to a structured play. They go to something that is a sport as opposed to just play and being outside. That is a big cultural shift that has happened since I was a child, even in the 1970s and 80s to now. So kids have to be involved in a sport or they're barely active. So our kids are not as active as they used to be, and not for near as long. That also includes screen time, right? As screen time increases, we notice that obesity as well goes up. The second one is the increase in the availability and of overprocessed foods. So ultra-processed foods are going to be more easily digested, increase the blood sugar quicker. We tend to overeat them and they don't help our digestion, and so it actually makes us hungrier over time. Ultra-processed foods have become much more readily available in the United States, as well as they are less expensive than whole fruits and vegetables and meats and proteins and things that we know are important for a healthy diet. So as our culture has changed, and then economically we've changed to where it's hard for families to be able to afford and easy to get those healthier foods for kids. The third one is diet culture. So I was raised during the time period where everything was a diet. There was this diet and that diet and this diet and this diet, and that led to actually the increase in ultra-processed foods, but also led to yo-yoing, where nobody really knew how to eat. They were either gaining weight and then going on a diet to lose it, and then gaining weight and then going on a diet to lose it, and we transitioned that over to our kids. So what are some things that we can do and that studies show is helpful, and then what do I do in my own practice? First and foremost, I try to talk to every family about healthy eating habits, sedentary lifestyles, not so much screen time, and intuitive eating. So intuitive eating is where we allow our children to decide when they are hungry, how much should they eat, and allow them to listen to their bodies. So no more clean the plate club, right? We need to have children be able to say when they are hungry, and if they are not, say no problem, you can eat later. Most typically developing children will not starve to death. I know there are some kids that have really restrictive eating disorders. Talk to your pediatrician about that. But in general, if your child has not eaten for a few hours and they say they are still not hungry, offer healthy nutritional choices, but don't give in with something that's less healthy just so that they have fuel, because that's actually not the best thing to do. The other thing about intuitive eating is how much should they eat. So if you notice that your child is overeating a little bit, giving them a little bit less food on the plate, increasing their protein and fiber is going to help them fill up without overeating, and then teaching them what full means. Full means that our belly isn't distended. Full means that we're no longer hungry, but we're not stuffed. If you have older kids, you can talk to them about feeling as if they could still run around the block. But we also need to practice these things with our kids. So if we're eating intuitively, we're much more likely to have our kids eat intuitively. So let's focus on allowing our kids to let us know when they're hungry and how much they should eat. If your child is not getting those cues, talk to your pediatrician. We can also help. The other thing is to make exercise a part of your daily life. This can be parking farther away in the parking lot and just walking farther to get into the grocery store, teaching your children that we don't need to take the car everywhere that we go, riding our bikes. It's less expensive. It's good for our health. We don't need to constantly pay for ways for our families to engage in physical activity. If you live in an urban area and don't have access to great safe space for children to play, after school programs, boys and girls clubs, indoor courts if you're in an area, trying to find inexpensive, seasonal family activities is going to be good for everyone involved, because children watch us. They're great mimickers, right? So we need to practice what we are preaching and get out there and move as a family, play a game. If you're stuck inside for a little bit and your kids have screen time, there is a lot of evidence that exercising with the screens can also be helpful. So video games where they're actually moving and playing those can be helpful. And so trying to incorporate those when screen time is unavoidable can also be helpful. Another thing to remember is that we really need to limit how much our kids are drinking their calories. So children over the age of 2 do not need a lot of milk in order to meet their nutritional needs. So 4 to 8 ounces a day max. If your child is drinking a gallon of milk a day, that is not needed. It is not healthy for them, and they're not going to eat as much of their actual fiber filling up foods, and you're going to notice a problem. No children need soda. Nobody needs juice unless you need it to go to the bathroom. So water, minimal amounts of milk, and let kids eat their calories where they have to chew it and work on it. So we want to focus on intuitive eating, moving our bodies in whatever way we can on a regular basis and incorporating it into your family. And we want to have our kids not drinking their calories. We also want to, and we talked about this in intuitive eating, but have healthy habits yourself. Our children are watching, and so if you are yo-yo dieting and you are making comments about this is a healthy food, that's not a healthy food, or commenting on your body or fat shaming yourself, your children are taking that in, and you're going to notice more emotional eating for them. Emotional eating isn't just sitting with a pint of Ben and Jerry's when you're sad. It's eating when you're not hungry to fill an emotional need. If you notice that your child is doing that, you can say, is your brain hungry? Is your tummy hungry? Or are you bored? And if they're not sure, say, well, you know what? Let's get a glass of water. You might not be hungry right this minute. Let's go do something else for a minute. Or if you really feel like you are, let's eat something that's crunchy, like an apple, carrot sticks, celery. See if your body is still hungry, and then we can try in a little bit. We don't want to withhold food from our kids, but we want to teach them why they are eating, so that they understand it as they're getting older. So I hope this helps. We really need to change our mindset with our kids and start to focus on these things. If you are struggling with your weight, if your children are struggling with their weight, or even if they're not yet, but you're worried that they're going to have problems with eating, talk to your pediatrician and primary care providers. If we don't have the answers, we can get you connected with a dietitian or nutritionist to help. Take care.